So the question is, just as we seem to be settling on Docker Kubernetes as a platform agnostic approach to building modern solutions, serverless rears its head. Amazon in particular appears to be pushing customers towards lambdas, which are definitely not platform agnostic. Should we as an industry be rejecting this approach in favor of Kubernetes-based approaches to serverless, such as native, or should we concede to Amazon and once again head down the platform-specific path?
It's a good question.
I thought you'd love that one.
Good question. Look, I think that the cloud providers know that plain old compute or plain old Kubernetes is probably pretty much commoditized. So they are going to attract you into their cool services and platforms, and that's what they do. And when I talk to even cloud native companies, they say to me, it's not that easy to shift. Multi-cloud is running different applications in different clouds, pulling things out and running them across. Saying one day, you know what, I'm fed up with Google, I'm moving my entire thing to Azure, is like saying I'm moving from .NET to Java 20 years ago. That was a big undertaking of work. You are, by the nature of cloud and what you're going to try and achieve, get hooked into the services. You're not going to be able to completely get into Lambda at the moment. You're going to have these stateful apps, you're going to have databases and key value stores and things that you can't run those all as functions and serverless things. But you are going to be able to automate and orchestrate that as much as possible. And, goodness, maybe they'll come up with, schemaless databases and other things that mean you can run them all as functions in the future. And maybe there will be an element of mobility on that. But, yep, Lambda's great. They've all got serverless function-based architectures. But, when you pick your cloud, I'll be interested to hear Ray's point of view, to be honest. I don't think you think I'm going to shift my entire application web front end to another cloud, on a Tuesday. I think you may decide you're going to build a different application architecture in a different cloud using their services because they've got something unique that you want to leverage.
All right, Andrew.
Yeah.
You next.
I think probably my response to that question is, again, identifying which part of this is the application and which part of this is the data element. So, yeah, Lambdas are cool today. Next year there'll be something else, and I think that's the important thing to remember. Every kind of horse has its course. But again, at the end of the day, they all have to utilize the data in some way, shape, or form. So I think if we think about the front end technology or the application technology, whether it's serverless or Lambdas or Knative, as somewhat ephemeral, so they come and go. I think that's probably the best way to think about that, because sticking or trying to pick a path forward in terms of a technology roadmap, I think is almost impossible. You need to get out your crystal ball to do that. And as Matt said, certainly the cloud vendors are encouraging you to go down a particular path, which is often services that they manage themselves. So, I mean, certainly, my personal preference, and it is a personal preference, is to be able to remain agnostic across clouds and to be able to run those workloads anywhere. And certainly Kubernetes does that. But I also concede that there is benefits to running things in Lambdas for a particular purpose. And so maybe for some more practical experience, Ray can give us some examples of how he's done that.
Over to you, Ray.
Thank you. I'm flattered. That's the thing, right? I mean, we were sold, particularly with tooling like Terraform, that you describe your infrastructure, you describe your application, and with Docker, you describe your application, and it is completely cloud agnostic. And that was the beauty of it. And while there are transitionary serverless and containerized agnostic frameworks for deploying these sorts of things, such as Knative, as the delegate asked. There do seem to always be those little gotchas, and the libraries, for example, when you're developing your serverless applications, the libraries are very heavily skewed towards. If you're deploying it on, for example, Lambda, then you're going to be heavily biased towards employing the services that AWS offer to you in the application design, unless you're very, very scrupulous about ensuring, no, we're never going to touch your Redshift tooling. We're going to push all that out to Snowflake or something. And so it's very challenging, and you're very tempted to then to lock in that regard. I really wish that something like Terraform had a means of completely abstracting away your deployment processes, but it's all to do with cloud providers, and that's a bit of a shame. Yeah, no, I feel your pain, but that said, I mean, Greenpeace International works primarily with Google Cloud Platform, and they have first-class support for example, Knative, deployed not just on Kubernetes, which is completely cloud agnostic, so to speak, more or less, but it's a one-to-one parity with their managed serverless solution, Cloud Functions. So more or less, you can pick it up from this serverless delivery system and push it over to that serverless delivery platform. I can't actually speak to Lambda as to whether or not that's as portable, but I expect it is. It's a protocol, right? It's an interface that with a little bit of care and attention, you should be able to achieve that.